You introduce.
Yay! Welcome back, everybody. We have 2 sessions left, and the one right now is being led by Mrs. Heather White. She's going to take it away for us today. Which one are you doing, Heather?
Today, we are going to take a look at Google Classroom and Drive cleanup and on some tips and tricks with your calendar and just a good way to get it cleaned up and organized and ready for the new year.
And I can tell you, I sat through this presentation back a couple weeks ago, and my drive is so pretty. It's organized by color, and then I have like the pretty little circles with the numbers in them. So you're going to get a lot of good stuff from this one. I'm excited.
Well, then yours is looking better than mine because I still have not gone in and revamped mine for this summer, but it is on my ever-growing to-do list. It will happen.
And it didn't take as long as I thought it was, because I watched it and I was like, I ain't got time for that. But really, I do. It didn't take as long as I thought.
No, it doesn't. And then it lets you delete a bunch of stuff that you don't need. Yep. And it's just, I don't know, it's a very cleansing feeling. You feel accomplished. So I had to leave it a mess, obviously, so that I could show everybody here how to organize. I mean, that's totally why it's still a mess. But
totally why.
All righty. Let's go ahead and get started with this presentation. Okay, so again, yes, my name is Heather White. I am one of the tech facilitators here in Livingston Parish Public Schools. If you would like a copy of this presentation, you can get it at that link right there. It is case sensitive, so make sure it is bit.ly/big G, big C, little c, LEAN 2021. So Google Classroom, clean 2021. So go ahead and, get that down. And that way you've got all of the steps that you need to clean up your Google. All right. So here is what we're going to cover today. If you've not yet, we're going to return all student work. We're going to unenroll students from old classes. You're going to archive your classes. You're going to remove old class calendars, move old Drive class folders in Drive, and then we're going to just kind of take a look at some tips and tricks on cleaning up and sharing, getting rid of some of that shared stuff that you have in there and just making everything look pretty. So in this presentation, it is all clickable right here. So you can click and go back and forth, click on the home button, go back here. So when you get that copy, it is kind of like an interactive notebook type thing. But let's start with returning all student work. Okay, so I'm not going to read this to you. You can read it to yourself later, but here's the premise behind it. When you create something, it's in your Drive, you own it. You go, you create an assignment in your Google Classroom, you attach something, you tell it to make a copy for everybody, and you send it out, okay? At that point, you have given all of their students their own copy of whatever it was. You don't own it, they do. They go in, they do the thing that they need to do, they turn it into you. When they turn that document into you, it becomes yours again. They only have viewing permissions. They can't edit because they don't own it. So since you are now the owner, it is sitting in your Drive, cluttering up all of your stuff. Okay, so unless this is something that you just don't want them to have back, you need to go ahead and make sure that you give everything back to them. All right, so how do we do this? Well, go to your Google Classroom. This is your dashboard. These are all your classes that you have, and you may have a whole lot more than this, but we're going to show you how to get rid of that. Okay, so if you come over here, you can either click on to do, which means things that you need to do, or to review, meaning stuff that your students have done and you need to take a look at it. This is what we're going to focus on. You can also get there if you don't see that right here by coming here and clicking on to review. Okay, again, to do is if you're in a class, it's stuff that you've been assigned, but to review as the teacher portion. So we're going to click on to review. Now, if I click on it here, it's going to give me my to review for every class I am a teacher of. Okay. So notice it says all classes up here. If I want to, I can filter that out so that I'm only seeing, a specific class, but I'm going to do all classes. Works in progress, and you also have no due date. Okay, so make sure you expand that by clicking on it. What you're looking for are your turned ins, not your assigned, not your graded. Graded means you've graded it, you've already given it back. Assigned means you've given it to someone and they did not do it. Okay. Turned in are the ones that you are now owning. You need to send that back to them. Okay. So you don't have to go and go, okay, this is in summer Google training. I need to go into this account and do this, that. No, you don't have to do that. All you have to do is click on that number right there. Boom. It will take you directly to where all of that was, your attachment, all of these things. And here's the easy way to do it. Since the school year's over, you really don't have to worry about going in and grading anything because grades are already done. Click on this button right here next to all students, and then click that return button. Are you sure you want to do this? Yes, I do. I want to return it. Now, it may take a minute depending on how many students you have to return this to, but you can see that it's all getting returned. Okay, so now I have 0 turned in. Let me go back to my to review. Notice 0 turned in. I got a bunch assigned. I have a bunch graded. That's okay. Okay, I want all of my turned ins to be 0. Again, click here. All students. Return. And yes, return. So you're going to go through all of your classes and you're going to do that for those things. Now, if it's, again, something that you do not want them to have back, maybe it was some super top secret, quiz, open book test, whatever it is. If you don't want them to have that back, then don't return it to them. If they're still in your class, they could go in and look in their Google Classroom folder. So that's still an issue. So just keep in mind that even if you don't turn it in, they may still have viewing access to these things. All right. So again, do that for all of your work in progress. You just want to see zeros here. And then make sure you do it for all of your no due dates. Okay, so anything that has not been given a due date is going to show up here. Works in progress are things that have been given a due date. So you go down through here, click here, return. That's all you have to do. All right, so that's how you return all of your student work. It could take a little bit of time to go through them all, but once you're done, it makes it a little bit easier. So just keep that in mind. All right, next thing, unenroll students from old classes. Now, why do you want to do this? Okay, if you do not want students being able to access content after they've left your class, you need to go ahead and unenroll them. This is the best way to ensure that they cannot access anything that you have put into a Google Classroom. If you ever take your classroom out of archive and you have not removed your students, it is going to show back up on their dashboard. Okay, so it could be 3 years down the road and you go, you know what? I need to pull this out of archive. I need to look for some stuff. All of a sudden that student's going to go, oh my goodness, why do I have this class from 3 years ago? Okay, so make sure you get rid of them. Alrighty, so let's go back to our classes and I'm going to take this summer Google training and then I'm going to unenroll all of my students. To do that, I'm going to click on people. And these are a bunch of teachers that were in my summer's training. So I'm going to click right here. And then on this drop down, remove. Okay, let me show you that again. People, students, this box right here, click it. Actions, remove. Now it's going to say, are you sure you want to remove all of these people? Yes, I do. And then I'm going to click on remove. So none of these people will have access to this class anymore, even if I don't have it in my archive and it is still considered a live class. Okay, close that. I keep clicking on that one and not this one. All right. Now, once you have done that, you want to archive your classes. Now, archiving is not the same as deleting. Okay, archive is just going to put it in a folder kind of out of sight, out of mind, so that it's not cluttering up that dashboard that you have. Okay, it removes it from your main page. It freezes the class so no changes can be made either by you or by any students. All right, now, if you find that you still need to access that class to get something out of it, all you have to do is you can bring it back to life, resurrect it, restore it. But don't think that just because it's in the archive that you cannot reuse assignments. When you go to your classroom and you use reuse post, you can search through any classroom that you own, current or archived. So you can still pull the content from previous years, no problem. Okay. So how do we archive? Here's the class that I've returned all my work. I've unenrolled my students. So now I want to archive it. To archive, you go to the 3 dots. Okay. Notice you have a whole bunch of options here, but what I'm concerned with is this last one down here called archive. Okay. Again, you get to that by your 3-dot menu. Once I click archive, again, are you sure? Yes. So I'm going to archive it. Notice it takes it off of my dashboard. Now, again, if I need to go find it again, you click on your hamburger menu, pancakes, whatever you wish to call it. Click here. You have a folder called Archived Classes. So you can click here and you see every class I've ever created since I started doing this, 2015. So all of my classes are here. Now, again, this isn't deleting them, but you can delete one if you really, really, really want to. Keep in mind that it cannot be undone if you delete it. What you would do is you would click on your 3 dots within your archives and then click delete. This is also how you can restore it if you accidentally archive a class, or if somebody else goes and archives your class and you need it back. This is how you get it. Okay. So again, I'm in my archived class folder, 3 dots on the class that I want. Restore brings it back. Delete gets rid of it forever. Okay. Do you need
Heather,
to restore?
Before you start on that one, we had a question about, someone said, what about copying a class and then archiving it?
Okay, so if you copy a class, what happens is everything that you have done in that class gets recreated and put into that classroom. Okay. You might have a need to want to do that. So look, let me restore this one. And I'll show you what happens when you copy a class. Okay. So if I click on this and I click copy, it's, I can rename it. I can do whatever I want with it. And when I'm ready, I click copy. Depending on how much content is in that class will dictate how long it takes for that class to make a copy of. So notice here's my copy. Okay. And it's still creating it for me. The one reason that I would not want to copy it is that I have a tendency to always revamp and kind of change up what I'm doing. It's not always the same. And when you make a copy of a class, the messages and stuff that you might put on the stream are not there, but everything that you've done makes draft versions of all of your assignments. Okay, so if you make a draft version, basically it's sitting in here, and that's if you're going to do it exactly the same way that you did it the year before. Otherwise, you're going to have to go in, make some changes as far as what your topics are called. If you want to go in and edit some assignments, you can. Notice though, there is no Google Slides presentation shared down here. And here is the one big thing, because if a Google presentation is put in there as an edit type thing, and then it's not done, sometimes it takes away that make a copy for each person type of thing, and it causes issues. So let's see if another one is down here using Google Docs, edit assignment. So mine are not there, and it very well could be that I have deleted out a folder or something, but I'm trying to remember if it doesn't put it there for you and you still have to attach your attachments, or if it's there. So let's see, class presentation, edit material. So there's this one right here, Google Slides sign in. So the materials are there, but anything that I attached as an assignment is not there for whatever reason. Maybe it doesn't do it. I can go and copy another assignment and double check, but that's a great question. So what it does is it does copy over all of your assignments, but if it's not going to attach all of your materials, I don't see what the point would be, but it's a personal preference. There's nothing wrong with making a copy of a class. Okay. I hope that answered your question. And now I'm curious as to why some of these assignments are not showing up, because I thought they did, but maybe they don't. I could be completely off base by that one.
So I have a second question about that. It says, doesn't copying create draft versions of the assignments?
And that's what it did.
Yeah.
So let me find one. Let me restore this one real quick, because I know for certain there are things attached to that and should still be there. So classwork. That's a YouTube video. Let's see. Drive file. See, it says unknown file, and it might be because those things have been moved, but here's a gravity questions Google Doc. Okay, so let's go make a copy of this one and see if when I do that, if that attachment was still there. So while it's making its copy, again, this page right here just goes through if something is archived or gets archived for you and you don't want it archived, how you can go and restore that specific Google Classroom. Okay, still creating there. Where'd it go? Let's give it a refresh. Okay, copy of science. So let's go in here and let's see. Classwork. All right, lesson 1. Gravity. See, this one right here has my doc. So let's see. Edit. This was a view only though. That's why. Okay, let's see if there's anything else that was in here that was not view only. This is from 2 years ago, so I'm trying to remember. Mixtures and Solutions project. This is that citation that I talked about in the Keep presentation I did earlier. This is what we actually used it for. Okay, let's see. Edit assignment. So this one allows you to actually click on your Google form. So it's there. Owl pellets. Let's see. Boop, 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 boop. PDF. Okay, let's edit this one. And this is at view, edit, or make a copy. So maybe the ones that I was using in that other one, they I moved or deleted a folder, and that's why it couldn't be found. But for this one right here, you can see that they can view, edit, or make a copy, and then you can go ahead and make those changes. So if that's something that you want to do so that you have all of those assignments right there and ready to go, you can. If not, keep in mind, whenever you go, you can create, and when you do that, go to reuse post. And then right here, sometimes you may have to back arrow, but you can see that it gives me every class that I have. It tells me if it's archived or not, so that I can actually find the specific class that I want to copy that assignment over from. So you do have access to that. Okay. Next step, remove old class calendars. This is kind of a personal preference thing. Every time you create a Google Classroom, a calendar is created for that class. You may not want those calendars. And after the class, there's really no need for those calendars either. So if you come to your waffle and you click on calendar, you will see all of the calendars that you have right here. Okay. So notice I just made 2 new Google Classrooms when I did those copies. And here they are, copy of science and copy of summer Google training. My other ones are ones that I just have that I want to use. So test class is another Google Classroom that I have. My other calendars are classes that I am a member of. And so they kind of pull up right here. Holidays, you can turn that on or off. And then this right here is just the Wakelet community calendar. I wanted to know what was going on for this week. All right. So if you have a calendar here that you do not want in your list. And if you've never looked at this and you've been using Google Classroom for a while, your eyes may be bugging out of your head because you have like calendars listed all the way down. Don't panic. I'm here for you. All right. So here we go. Again, just like anything else, you find the 3 dots. So 3-dot menu right here. Notice it says hide from list. All you have to do is hide it. Doesn't delete it. It's kind of like archiving it. It just takes it so that you don't have to look at it. Okay, same one right here. Copy of Google Summer. I don't need that. Click it. Hide from list. I'm kind of a minimalist. I like to have only the things that I specifically need right here. Now, what if you made an oops? Okay, and you're like, uh-oh, where did my calendars go? Well, go into your where is it? Right here, click here and go to settings and sharing. Okay, notice you've got all of your calendars listed. If you've not deleted them out, you're still going to see them over here. So here's one that I got rid of. I didn't want to see anymore. If I need to see it again, all I do is click on the little eyeball that had the slash through it. So let's bring those back. And if I go back to my setting, they're back there again. So copy of science, copy of Google Summer Training. Another thing, if you don't like the colors, this isn't really related, but you can come over here and you can change your colors to any of these colors. You click on a plus, you can even do hex codes. You can get real fancy with it. I'm waiting for them to do that with the folders and Google Drive. That has not happened yet, but I'm holding out hope. But yeah, so hide them. If you have no need for those anymore, ever again, you can actually delete them out. What you would do is you would come click on that specific calendar. You would come down here to remove calendar. Okay, it's at the very bottom. And then it says, do you want to permanently delete this? Yes, I have no need for that calendar, so I'm going to permanently delete it out. That's the only way to permanently delete them. But keep in mind, if you do that, you cannot get them back. Okay, so there is no restoring, just like a classroom. If you delete it, it's gone. If you hide it or you archive it, you can restore it as needed. Okay, move old class folders in Google Drive. So if we look at our Google Drive, again, we can get there by going to our waffle. And you click on the My Drive tab. When you click on this, all of the things that you own, all of the stuff that you've put in folders or you have not put in folders will be there. Okay, you have a couple of ways of viewing things. This is list view. If you prefer grid view, you can click on grid view. Notice it gives you a little preview of everything when you do that. If you just want to look for names, then you would want to click on list view. Okay, but what we're concerned with is our classroom folder. The very first time that you created a classroom, Google created a classroom folder for you. All I did was go to my classroom and put a 1 in front of it to make it first on my list. And that's one of the tips that I'm going to show you in a minute. Okay, but if you notice, inside of that classroom, I have gone and created a folder called Archive. Basically, I've taken all of the classroom folders that I've used and that have been created over the years and put them into an archive folder. The reason I do that is because if you have to go and click on a into a folder and search for something, sometimes it doesn't show up in the classroom or it's not attached. You can actually click on this and it will show you all of the things you've assigned. And then you can actually click into folders and see the student work. That's what that's for. But what I don't want is to have all of my folders where I have to go through them. So whenever I archive a class, I just take that class and drop it into the archive folder. Are you sure you want to? Yes. Okay. So it's talking about visibility and permissions. I haven't given permissions to anyone to view my archive folder, so that doesn't matter. Okay, this does not affect the classrooms. If it was not archived and you moved it into a folder, it's not going to affect your classrooms. All your stuff is still going to go into that folder wherever you put it. The only thing you don't want to do is delete out that classroom folder. If you delete your classroom folder, then your classrooms end up just kind of all willy-nilly in your right here in your drive because they don't have a destination to go to. That is what that folder is for. So it's important to hang on to that one. Okay, so that is what you do. Now, to create a folder, you click here so that it's highlighted, or you can double click and open it up so that it shows over here. In this open space, you can right click and say new folder. Okay, name it, create, or if this is highlighted, you can click on new folder and it will create it right there. So creating a folder is as simple as that. Again, you can color code these things. All you have to do is right click on them. It says change color. Notice we only have a few to choose from. Kind of messes up with my whole trying to Roy G. Biv my file, but we're going to work with it. And then you just click on one and it will change that folder color for you. So that is what I mean by archiving your old class folders. Again, don't delete them, just kind of move them into an archive. That way, if you ever need to go back into them, you have access to them. Okay. Remove old class files from shared with me in my drive. Okay, this shared with me tab is kind of the bane of everybody's existence because it's anything and everything that anyone has shared with you, whether you've just clicked on it on the internet because it has anyone with a link can view, or someone has specifically shared it with you. So that means anytime you go and look at templates on Slides Mania, or I did something, with Amanda Robinson during her Jamboard, where she had a collaborative Jamboard and I clicked on it. She's the owner, but I was able to edit it because it was shared with me. So all of the things that you've been shared forever and ever and ever are here. Now, keep in mind, this is merely a filter. Just because it's been shared with you does not mean that it lives in your drive. Okay. The only time it's going to live in your drive is if you can make a copy of something or if you have editing permissions to something. Okay. Most of these, I do not have any kind of permissions other than viewing permissions. So it's just here. I tend to not worry too much about the shared with me unless I'm looking for something. But if these things bother you and you wish to get rid of them, okay, all you have to do is click on that item. And when you do, if you notice, a little trash can shows up over here. If you click on the trash can, it will remove that thing. Are you sure you want to? Yes. It will remove it from your shared with me. Okay. So if you want to do a whole lot at one time, you can Control A. Oops. Click here. There we are. Select them all. And you can only do, I forget how many at one time. So obviously it doesn't want me to do all of those, but it will let me do, I think, 20 or something like that. So I may just come down a little bit and click on this first one and then come down here and click there and then remove. So you can remove them all from your shared with me. Just keep in mind, anytime you click on something or someone shares something with you, it's going to show back up in that shared with me. So kind of a personal preference thing, but that is how you can clean that up. Again, click on it and hit that little trash can right there. Okay. Organization. Alrighty. So there are a few ways that you can go in and organize. Again, I prefer my list view. So let's take a look at my drive. So my list view, notice I have a bunch of folders and these first 9 folders have a number in front of them. I actually got this, and you could just type your numbers on your keyboard, but I got this from a site called Copy Paste Character. And there is a link to it in the presentation. You don't have to like run to make sure that you get it. But right here, this is all characters. What I do is I like to look at the numerals. So on the numerals right here, you will see that there are quite a few options to choose from. So what I did was I just highlighted it. Oops. It's not liking me. Copy. And then I just came back over to my drive. Not double click, Heather. Right click. Right click. Rename. And then at the front, Control V to paste, and I put that number right there. So it does recognize numerals. It will only order numerals 1 through 9 for you. Once you get to 11, it starts to want to put 11 underneath number 1. So pick your top 9. You can also go ahead and put in some emojis if you want to. So let me get to my rename here. So this is shapegrams. Anything that is considered a character. So emoji guide or Emojipedia. Let's say I want a square. Okay, so I get all of these options here. I'm going to go with a purple square. All right, by doing this, okay, I can just highlight over it, copy it, come back to my folder, and instead of, using a number, I can paste and put an emoji there. Okay, because those things are considered to be characters, just like letters and numbers are. So you can use those and kind of, organize that way as well. That kind of works well if you've got folders inside of folders and you want to like dictate what folders do which things. You can use, maybe it's questions. You can find a question mark one. Maybe it's papers. You can find a notebook looking one. So really kind of however you wish to organize your folder. Now, finding the documents are going to be the harder part. And it might take you a moment and it might not. Just like Nikki said, she was able to actually do it pretty quickly. And if you use your search, it really will help you narrow down what you're looking for. So let's say you wanted to go and take all of the things that you created in September and you want to make sure that they are in a folder labeled September so that you know where to find them for the upcoming year. If you click on the down arrow for your search, you get a much bigger search bar and allows you to really narrow down that search. You can narrow down to any type of document. So maybe you're only looking for presentations or you're only looking for forms. Okay, so you can click and look for those things. As far as owner goes, is it something you own, not owned, or a specific person, okay, or anyone? So if you're only looking for the things that you've created, you would want to click on that. Location, anywhere. You can specify a specific place in your drive to go and search for that, and in trash or starred. Now, the date modified is where you can really kind of narrow things down. So it gives you this, but if you look and click on custom, you can search for between dates. So let's say I'm looking for anything in the year 2020 and hold that.
I will say the searching between dates thing has been a lifesaver for me because I'm like, I know I did it. I know I did it this time. And that's really nice.
I went to go hit the dash on my keyboard, and right above the dash on that keyboard is the lock. Boom. So if you're wondering why it's just everything just disappeared, that would be why. I just totally hit the yeah, things happen. It's kind of been a long day, people.
It has been. There we go. We're back.
Okay. Let's go back to the searching right here. I will make sure I hit the dash this time. Okay, so 2020 dash 9-1. So I'm going to look for anything created on the first day of the month, and 2020-9-30 to the end of the month. Okay. So if I do that and I click search, it filters out everything that was created in that time. Again, I could narrow it down to being only me or specific people. But by doing this, I can say, okay, this is all my September files from this year. I'm going to Control A to select them all. And what I'm going to do is drag them and drop them into a new folder that I've created in my drive. And so everything that was done in September is in one file folder. So instead of having to scroll through and look at every single one that you've done, this gives you a little bit easier way to find them all. If you know that there is a specific name, you could put that there. Has some words in it shared with, or, if you had any kind of follow-up as far as that goes. So that is one way to go in and kind of search through your drive to find those items that you might want to, put in the specific folders. And again, don't forget, you can look for, types. I want to put all of my forms together. I want to put, all of my presentations together. And then within those, you could search for specific dates or subjects or things like that. Okay. So this goes through how to do that. This shows you how to do that organization. I wish I could take credit for this, but I cannot. I learned this from Ladybug Teacher Files, and it's got her little thing right there. And she honestly is the most organized person ever. If you just go look at her blog, if you like that kind of thing, it will just make you so happy. She's got an Instagram, and I follow it only because looking at her stuff makes me happy. It's just everything is so perfect. But it goes through kind of how to do it. And then here's cool symbols or copy paste character if you want to use that and put that on that in your folders as well. Now, some tips for future organization. Once you've gotten everything organized, something that you can do to kind of help your organization moving forward is to look for workspaces, starred files, and shortcuts. And then as you're creating specific files, move them into that folder. All right, so let's take a look at my drive again. If you notice over here, I've got something called starred. Okay, this is everything that I have starred because I want to look at them and I haven't gotten to it, or I need to have easy access to it. So I star it. So here's what we go. Okay, let's open this one right here. Haven't looked at this for a while. I was doing some research for the kiddo for college, and I wanted to, make sure that I could easily find it. All you have to do to star a file is to click on the little star. Most of the things that you click on do not have that little star done that way. So once you do that, it is in your starred file so that you can find it at that point anytime. Right here allows you to go and put it in your drive in a specific place. So if I click on move, it is just hanging out in my drive. It is not in any particular folder. So if I want to make sure that it's in a folder that I can easily find, I'm going to go put it in my personal folder since it's a personal thing. It's my child. So I will move it there. So it's taken it out of my drive and put it into personal. So it's one thing to keep in mind when you're building whatever it is. Go ahead and put it in the spot that you need it to be to begin with. Okay, priority. A lot of people may not pay attention to this right here. When you go to your drive, a lot of times it defaults to this right now. This up here is just some artificial intelligence, either pulling up things that you open frequently at a certain time of day. It's really weird how that happens, or things that you just newly created. You don't have to pay attention to anything up here. Again, it may not be something you own. It's just going to say, hey, maybe you want to look at this right now. Who knows? What I want you to look at are these workspaces. Okay. Workspaces are places that you could house documents that you are, working on, that go together, that you need quick access to. So if you notice my workspace called current presentations, and I have 4 more in here. If I click on it, what it does is it brings me to all of these that I've kind of put into this little spot so that I can easily click on it. You do have a 25 file limit in your workspace. You can add files. You can remove files by clicking on this right here. You can delete it out. So all of these things right now, what I've done is all of my current presentations. So if I'm working on something, I have it in here so I can easily find it and not have to go and search for it. I know that it lives right here on my priority page. When you're done with it, you can always click here. You can hide it, which is sort of like archiving it, or you can remove it if you need to. It's super easy to create one. You just click on the create button, give it a name, and boom, you're done. Okay, so a work space is a great place to have. Let's say you teach multiple subjects, you can have, you know, a science workspace, a social studies workspace, math, whatever you need, so that all of the things that you're kind of working on but not quite finished with yet, or you want to assign that week, are all sitting right there, easy for you to find. Alrighty. So ways that you can star here. Places that you can find starred is in your drive menu right here. Also, you can star items by coming to File, and it's already starred. Let me unstar it. File, and then where'd it go? Add to star should have been over here somewhere, but maybe I'm clicking on the wrong one. Okay, shortcut to drive is if you don't own something, but you want to have a shortcut to a shared folder that was given to you, you can click on a shortcut to a drive. And that, let me do this. Let me do share it with me real quick. So this right here, if I click here, notice I have the option right here to add a shortcut to my drive. If I do that, I can again pick where I want it to go. I just want it to kind of go right there in my drive. And then when I click on my drive, anything that's got this little folder with the little arrow means that that is a shortcut. Okay, so I may not own that folder. I may not own the files that are in it, but I have either view access or editing access. And then what I can do is, you know, get into there and see all these. These are a whole bunch of Google Keep headers. If I wanted to use them, I could get in there and I could, you know, download them and add them to it, but I have not made a copy of them. So technically they're not taking up space in my drive. What they're doing is I just have a shortcut to a folder that is actually stored in this person's drive right here. So that's kind of the nice thing about a shortcut, is it's not eating up any of my storage space. All right. Okay, so we talked about shortcuts, file storage, how to move things, rename things, workspaces, and that is it. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes, thank you.
Hopefully that will help you get in there and do a little cleanup and make life a little bit easier for you. I love my gifts. I can't help it. Thank you. Anyway. Don't forget to fill out the Tech Week survey and attendance link. I forgot to put my name on that one. Look, I'm telling you, that's where I am right now. Presenter name, presenter email. Yeah, I'll go fix that. If you need anything, email me, heather.white@lpsb.org. You can catch me on Twitter @TallTechieTeach. And if I seem a little out of it, I apologize. I think this is my third presentation for today.
Last one's the sixth one
that I've sat in on, but
last one's in 15 minutes with me. We're doing Chrome extensions. It's going to be awesome. So hold on tight, guys. Just one more for today, and it won't even last that long. So,
all right. Thank y'all so much. We'll see you soon.